Since 1972, video game consoles have been redefining what home entertainment could be. Although at times more of a vision than a tangible product, with each new generation of consoles bringing progressively more powerful hardware. With transistors increasing pretty much in line with Moore's law, the obvious perceivable difference to everyday consumers comes in the form of bigger, more complex, and infinitely better looking games. Every generation has those games that really push the latest killer consoles to their limits, draining every last ounce of performance from these machines, but with the ever-shifting boundaries of what exactly dictates cutting edge. Sometimes it's nostalgia and not genuine quality that defines the legacy of a game. The aim of this series is to take a critical look at these games we automatically accept to be console and possibly genre defining, and asking the question, with as little bias as possible, how good was it?
It's me, Mario!
On the chopping block today is Shigeru Miyamoto's 1996 3D masterpiece, Super Mario 64. On my birthday in 1997, I ripped the wrapping paper off of a box in front of me, already knowing what was inside. It was the N64. This was my first Nintendo console, as the Mega Drive and Master System were by far the more common consoles in the UK. With it, I got 007 GoldenEye, which I was ecstatic about. This was one of my favourite films, and I had heard good things. But then, my mum pulled out a second N64 game-shaped box. It was Mario 64, and I was over the moon. I had played the game on a demo unit a month before in the local Toys R Us, and as good as a game as 007 was, Mario was the game I really wanted. I played it to death, exploring every nook and cranny, and achieving the accolade of 120 stars. Putting my bias aside for this one is going to be a mammoth task, but I'm going to give it a go. This is the perfect game for this series, because even though at the time I completed it many times, due to the very dated visuals of the N64, I haven't replayed it for over a decade. In regards to the review format that I'm going to use, I'll briefly go through the setup I'll be using, we will then look at my playthrough, discussing the game, and then we're going to rank it. On the topic of visual problems, we're going to quickly explore the setup I used for this playthrough, as it was quite the entangled web. Due to the blurry, low-res image the N64 outputs, I had to try many different things until I got the results that represented the console as authentically as possible. For as much as I love emulation, this isn't the place for that. You can definitely get the best image from N64 games going that route, but the point of this retrospective is to represent the original experience to the best of my ability. In my opinion, the best way to play N64 games is with the original console on a CRT TV, but for our purpose today, that obviously won't work. I'm sure many of you understand the intricacies of the problem that is the N64's video output. For those who don't, this is the quick answer. Due to a CRT outputting interlaced lines, also known as scan lines, and the screens being smaller than modern times, the display technique would hide the imperfections and blurriness. This is why hooking up an N64 to a large LCD TV looks so bad. The options I had was to use my RGB modded NTSC N64 or the S-Video option the console can utilise. As the RF output is terrible, and the purpose of this video is to keep the experience as genuine as possible, we're going to go with the S-Video option. Using an S-Video to HDMI converter and hooking it up to an Elgato is the technique that I settled upon. I know that sounds terrible, but the end result is the closest I have achieved to how the game originally looked. Now as for the actual game, we're going to be using the European ROM on an EverDrive. I still have my original cartridge I received 25 years ago, but I want to be able to dump the SRAM data from the game. So, with the scene fully set, let's enter the 3D world of Super Mario 64. We boot up the game and I'm feeling nostalgic already, screwing with Mario's face, as we all did. Then, it's onto the main screen. Now I don't know what it is about this music, but even when I first played it, these pan-pipe tunes instantly told me I was in for something special. Even though commonplace today, this little cutscene with the speech was next level back then. The CGI of the PS1 was much more impressive, but this was still fantastic. In comes Lakitu, ducking and diving, bobbing and weaving, and already I feel like a teenager again. Mario looks superb in 3D. With the tech of the time, Nintendo really captured the essence of our red plumber. This was the first time we'd seen this iteration of Mario, and let's be honest, not everyone did it this well. Even today when you look at games like Mario Odyssey, apart from improvements in detail, the model is still very much the same. Now these graphics were stunning. I know they don't match up to modern day standards, but you have to remember, coming from a 16-bit Mega Drive, these visuals blew me away. Even in the current day, I still think this looks excellent for what it was. The 3D movement was also revolutionary at the time. According to Shigeru Miyamoto, the analog stick on the N64 controller was added because of this game, and even the PlayStation was still using the D-pad at this point. And my dirty little secret is I love the N64 controller. Controlling Mario is very easy, and movements are very responsive. There is an archaic charm to these controls, not as defined as newer Mario games, but very usable. We make our way into the castle and start towards the first level, behind the only unlocked door we can enter apart from the basement. Now my aim in this playthrough is to recreate what it was like to first play Mario 64, and as the first time I played, I only got the minimum required 70 stars before completing. That is what we're going to do here. Also, I'm going to play the same way a first-time player would. This means not completing the game level by level, but exploring the game and having fun. We enter the first level, Bobom's Battlefield, and we get a feel for the style of the game. Having a hub area with a linked level was something I had never seen before 1997, and it really made you feel like you were exploring a different world. The idea of jumping into the painting to enter the level was a masterstroke in artistic vision, and makes the game great fun to explore. This level is the first time I had a sandbox feel in a game. That term had not been coined back in the 90s, but it's the perfect descriptor for this style of game. The level design here is perfect. Even though you can fully explore it, all roads lead to the final boss, and it's a great introduction into the progression system of the game. You jump into the level, you get your thinly veiled clue, and then you look for the star. You can accuse Nintendo of many things over the years. Poorly designed games is not one of them. This game really was revolutionary at the time. Not only did it blaze a trail for which later platforms would walk, but it was the start of this kind of game. And many games, even with this template, took the wrong lessons from Mario 64. And it's here at King Bobom we earn our first star. And it's glorious. The dance, the music, you feel like you've achieved something, and then you get this smooth cutaway. We get our level stats, and then save and continue. The text box shows up, telling us we can access new areas, further adding to good game design, and deciding we need more Bobom in our lives, we jump back in to get another star. So we have the same level, but there's something new. Who's this innocuous looking fella? After some conversational text boxes, we learn he wants to race. We accept and speed off. It's at this point we find out this kid's game is laying down some hard truths. We now have an additional rolling ball in the ditch. It resembles a dead King Bobom. Did we kill King Bobom? I don't know. This rolling corpse is an iceberg many have mentioned already, and I genuinely noticed this back in 1997. And even then, the implications were clear. Goddamn. After course correcting my awesome gameplay, we head to the top of the mountain and climb to the top of the pole to show our dominance. Cooper the Quick hasn't seen me. He thinks he's won, and then bam, you lose, bitch. We get our second star and then jump in to grab another. It's here we are introduced to the most important mechanic of the game, cannons. We talk to the pink bomb and get access to the cannon. The game has subtly told us that we need to look for the pink bombs on each level. And again, it's great game design. So we have cannons and we have a clue. Shoot to the floating island in the sky. So what is one to do but shoot Mario into the air from the cannon? After giving Mario a headache, we get into the cannon under the floating island. And the trick is to shoot for the Triceratops' arse. Yes, this is a Triceratops, and I will die on this hill. After getting the third star, and after being informed we have opened a new level, it's time for a change of scenery. I feel at this point we have a good feeling for the mechanics of Super Mario 64. And as I'm sure you're not here for a walkthrough of this 25-year-old game, we're going to pick up the pace and break down the levels rather than documenting every star. We unlock the door using our newly obtained stars and find a new painting of a floating fortress. As we have been taught the purpose of these paintings, we jump inside. It's at this point you realise they're going to be reusing music from across levels. This could be seen as lazy, but it fully keeps in line with earlier Mario titles. Rather than each level having its own music, the music will change depending on the type of level. It's a lovely touch, and further links to prior Mario games, telling you this is a Mario game. Womp's Fortress is a big change. It's more challenging than the Bomb's Battlefield, with tighter platforming and harder enemies. It's a great way to gradually increase the skill level of the player, while cementing techniques already learnt. Mario 64 does this superbly, increasing the skill level required while still adding new mechanics. It's a big reason the platforming has held up so well. We follow the previous level's lessons and head to the top of the fortress. Here, we are met with the second boss, King Womp. This enemy was tricky the first time I played this, but if you think I'm not abusing the ground pound, you're crazy. We beat Womp and earn our fourth star. After climbing the fortress again to get our second star of the level, it's time to explore. Unlocking the second door, we enter the room and see a painting of a sunken ship. Great, a water level. We all love water levels. Entering Jolly Roger's Bay, we are hit with my favourite piece of music from the game. Honestly, this is wonderful. The slow build-up, tempo, and the echoing synths. It's just a chef's kiss piece, perfectly embodying the peaceful floating vision of water. Unfortunately, this is a false positive, because chill and stress-free this level is not. After being attacked by giant eels, electrified chests, falling pillars, and a quickly depleting health meter while underwater, it's definitely a water level. With the introduction of water, we come to my first real complaint about the mechanics in this game, the health meter. In Super Mario 64, the health and breath meter are one and the same. So when you go underwater, resurfacing totally refills your health. This very much cheapens the value of the health bar, and it's a mechanic that Banjo and Kazooie definitely improved upon with a second breath meter. Swim into the sunken ship and we meet this delightful fella. Oh, let me tell you, I hate this hill, and for the love of me, I cannot get him out of this hole. I'm pretty sure back in the day, once he hit me, he came out to play. But apparently not. So getting bored, I attempt a different star. And yeah, this attempt was a disaster. We're pretending it didn't happen and moving on. We enter Jolly Roger's Bay for the first time and give up on the eel, going for the star in the chests. Not accepting defeat, we go back and play with this bug-eyed bastard, and he eventually stops being an arse and evacuates the hole. We enter the ship, skillfully unlock the chests, and swim as quickly as possible to the top platform, so we don't have to contend with these irritating, displaced pieces of the ship. We get the star, and I'm done with this level. Upon leaving, we see a hole in the wall, and we are introduced to the first of the castle's secret stars. This tells us that from now on, we need to be just as vigilant in the castle as we are in the level, because there will be secrets. A pop-up message tells me we are now able to open the star door. However, we need 10 stars, and I'm pretty sure you know why. We open our third and last level in this section and enter the painting. We're greeted with new level music and our first snow level. We are also greeted with a house with a large chimney and a trail of coins. What is one to do? Upon entering the chimney, we are introduced to our first slip and slide section, and it's great fun. We take the secret tunnel, of course, and grab our 9th star. After jumping back in and delivering the baby penguin to its mama, we come across something that always confused me back in the day. This is possibly one of my first memories of a game trolling me. Climbing on the house, we find a baby penguin, and upon delivering it to the mama penguin, we are informed this isn't her baby. Oh, okay then, we'll just leave it here to die. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. We have 10 stars now, and you know what that means. I'm not going to lie to you, I played most of this game back in the day, with the wing cap remaining a see-through red box. I didn't have access to the internet back in '97, most people didn't, so apart from just working something out in the game yourself, your only other option was these archaic printed books called magazines. All joking aside though, once you know why this beam of light is here, it seems obvious that I would never have worked this out on my own without reading about it in the N64 magazine. We enter the secret level, and after giving up on the red coins, we activate the red switch. And now, we have the power of flight. Much like with the switch boxes in Super Mario World, these cat boxes give you a reason to retread previous levels, with new stars now being reachable. We open the last star door in the lobby, and already being taught the castle is hiding secrets, we find a secret level hidden behind this stained glass. Another slip and slide, I love it. We grab the 12th star, and after failing to beat the time limit to grab the 2nd star, I realise at this point the game has introduced all the basic mechanics and I'm having a blast. So on to the newly available big star door. We feed it the stars it thirsts for, and it slides open like we're on the bridge of the Enterprise. We are shown a picture of Princess Peach. We start running towards it, and it changes into a glaring image of Bowser. You realise something is wrong, and bam, a trap door. It's little artistic touches like this that make Super Mario 64 such a timeless masterpiece. It's something the game does throughout, and just makes the game feel so special. Dropped into the void of the first Bowser level, we are greeted with the oppressing, intimidating music, accompanied with Bowser's bellowing taunts. The atmosphere of this game is fantastic. This is the first level we see a callback to the old school side-scrolling levels, and it's done very well. We still have control of the full 3D camera, but with it defaulting to the side view, the nostalgia is strong here. This level is a great introduction into the Bowser levels. It can be tricky, but not too difficult. I feel they balanced the level perfectly, and after grabbing the 8 red coins, we get the star and we have our first face-to-face altercation with the towering Bowser. This introduction, with the panning camera and the banging boss music, sets the scene to the best of the N64's abilities. Now, I found these battles a nightmare back in the day. I could never hit Bowser on those bombs until I worked out how to cheese the level. Bowser is regular fare in terms of Mario 64 boss battles. Get behind him and grab his towel. We have already learnt this trick on the first star. Nintendo really wanted to implement the analog stick in this battle. The mechanics were even explained in the game manual. Why are those bombs here? I don't know, but to be honest, Bowser deserves a bomb to the face. The trick is to get Bowser near the bomb, grab his towel, and
So long, Bowser!
So one hit is all that's needed, a reprise later battles will not give us. So with Bowser groaning after we bitch-slapped him, we are given our first shiny key. Key in hand, we go to the door with the giant keyhole. However, this is not the door you're looking for. That means it's time to explore. We go down to the basement mezzanine floor, and we're greeted by Boo cackling at us. This will not do, so we chase him and find a whole courtyard full of boos. On examination, one Boo has something inside him. So a quick ground pound later, and we find it's a tiny level. Mario does an over-the-top dive and shrinks into the tiny mansion-shaped box. Not to beat a dead horse, but it's this kind of level interaction that makes this game so immersive. Now in Super Mario World, Boo's Haunted Houses were some of my favourite levels, but for some reason, for me it never translated over to this game. I don't love this level, but it's not to say it's not well designed. The music is eerie, the skybox is ominous, and the mansion looks great. I just never gelled with it. Nevertheless, we're going to do some exploring. Killing Boo gives us a message. It's a great subtle way to guide us to the star. We walk into this room, and I knew it was going to happen. This piano scared the life out of me back in the day. We kill all the Boos, and we're told Big Boo is on the way. Big Boo is a pussy. And after emasculating him, the staircase magically rises, and we get our 13th star. We shall return, but for now, it's time to see what this oversized key opens. Going down into the basement, we find the door we're looking for, and the basement is now open to explore. We are told we need 30 stars to open this door, and we move on. Going through this door, we see the castle has a leak. Someone should call a plumber. I'll get my coat. We jump into the painting with the creepy looking flame for a face, and something tells me this is going to be a fire level. Lethal Lava Land is a different kind of level than we have seen up to now. It's far more boxed in than previous levels, with all the surroundings being pretty much visible from the outset. However, with an entire underground section in the volcano, it's far from small. The music fits perfectly too, the twanging sitar and the slow strings in the background. My mind was always taken to Firewalkers in India. We are introduced to the burning mechanics in this level, how Mario reacts to having his bum burnt. I found it intriguing when we recently found out that the smoke effect in this game was a coding glitch. There is a great video exploring this, I'll put it in the description. We grab a nice easy star from the red coins on the Bowser sliding puzzle. And after letting my 13-year-old son have a go at the game, I inform him he won't be playing Mario anymore. And we move on to bullying the big bully. Jumping out of the painting, I see something out of the corner of my eye. Oh dear God, it's MIPS. Now for the uninitiated, let me tell you about MIPS. Named after the security chip on the N64, MIPS is an annoying little shit, and I cannot tell you how much I hate him. Luckily, we caught him straight away, something I've never actually done before. But as we look each other in the eyes, we know this is only round one. I let him go and we get the secret star. While standing here, I see the wall rippling, so what is one to do but jump in, entering Shifting Sandland. And I'm quickly reminded why I hate this course so much. Honestly, I have never liked this level, and I think it's because this was the introduction of instant deaths. There is something infinitely unsatisfying about stepping on the wrong bit of sand and being pulled to your death, the problem highlighted with the terrible slide physics. Although Mario 64's controls were revolutionary, they were not perfect, and with the slightest misstep ending in an unbreakable slide of death, it's not fun, it's tedious. We will return to this level later, but for now, Shifting Sandland gets the wood chipper. And I'm sorry to anyone whose favourite level is Shifting Sandland, not because of what I said about it, but because your favourite level is Shifting Sandland. As a palate cleanser, we go back to a good level and grab another couple of stars. I begrudgingly get the shining atop the pyramid star in Shifting Sandland, and then it's time for the next level. Onto a new room, and we find this pool filled with a beautiful metallic effect. After talking to Toad and getting a cheap freebie star, we jump into the pool, and I wonder if there might be a cap of a metallic variety in here. We jump into Hazy Maze Cave, and this is more like it. Whereas I feel Shifting Sandland was lazy and unimaginative, Hazy Maze Cave is the opposite. It's a large sprawling level with a lot to explore, and secrets for us to find. In my opinion, this is when Mario 64 is at its best, when there is lots of exploring to do. This is the first time we're introduced to the remix of the older Mario game's underground level music. It's echoey with lots of great percussion, and this theme has never sounded so good. We grab a nice easy star with wall jumps, and then we find our way to Bessie's pool. But I can't help myself and get the metalhead star. This isn't a star you should be able to get without the metal cap, but for some reason, ground pounds work. So, we're going to take full advantage. Then, we head back down for Bessie's star. We show her we're friends by ground pounding her on the back, she screeches in pain, and then we ride her to the star. Nice. The last thing left to do in Bessie's pool is to ride our way across into the entrance of the metal cap. We're now in a metallic pool inside a metallic pool. We are now officially in Mario Inception. I can hear what you're saying. Ranker, don't get comically swept up by the stream and get thrown out all the way back at the castle waterfall. Not a chance. We activate the metal cap switch and grab the red coin star. We enter the last non-explored room in the water-flooded basement. We come to these two pillars, and again, this is a missable puzzle. This was far easier to stumble upon than the entrance to the red cap, and it's something I found on my own back in the day. After ground pounding these two pillars, the water drains and we exit through the door to a now dry moat. Why was there a door here? I have no idea. But in a world of talking mushrooms, giant evil lizards, and transporting pipes, it's not that strange. Jumping down into the now exposed hole, we are thrown onto a giant hill with Mario sporting a new flickering effect. We carefully make our way down the platforms, grabbing the red coins, and then we do battle with these lifts. At the end, we are rewarded with the invisible cap switch and another star. It's time to grab some of the earlier stars we left behind. We quickly grab one from Lethal Lava Land while going past, because it would be rude not to. Then, we head back to Womp's Fortress. I really like this level. As a learning level, it's quite simplistic, but it does have its secrets, and the main one that took me ages to find when I first played was the owl in the tree. Grabbing his leg takes us up into the air, making it possible to grab the cage star. We quickly grab the shoot into the blue and the blast away the wall stars, and then go back and nab the star behind Chomp's gate in Bob-omb Battlefield to get the 30 we need. Onto that star door, and I open it with bated breath. Would a giant floating apparition of Wario's head be waiting for me? Of course not. I'm obviously referring to the iceberg regarding copies of Mario 64 being personalised and haunted. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, check the description. It's quite the, well, iceberg. Anyway, we enter Dai Dai Dock and we're greeted with that fantastic water level music again. This is probably my favourite water level, and after failing to cheese the star on the sub, we do it the proper way and exit with the one star we needed to open the second Bowser world. We jump into the newly exposed hole, and upon entering, we realise the second Bowser level will not be as easy as the first. With the introduction of lava and tight platforming, the game is telling us the stakes are rising, and I'm all in. After a couple of failed attempts to grab the red coins, I decide to leave them and go for Bowser. The fight is very much the same fare as the first. This would be my main criticism in these fights, a lack of variation. The last one was slightly different, but aside from a tipping platform, this is the same fight as the first. Cheese Bowser, get the key, move on. Now with the metal cap unlocked, we go back to Jolly Roger's Bay to grab the star in the jet stream, and the two additional stars blast to the stone pillar, and can the eel come out to play? You get a great feeling of progression when you go back to previous levels and grab stars that were unattainable without power-ups. It's time to use our newly acquired key by opening the main locked door. We get another freebie from Toad, and then enter the door on the right. Inside this room, you see Miyamoto and his team's creativity shining through again. The giant mirror on the wall is a brilliant visual treat. Looking in the mirror, you can see Mario, and the game reminds you that Lakitu is still the cameraman. The whole concept of the game being filmed by a cameraman following you is very meta. And although unnecessary, it was an incredible artistic vision. So while looking in the mirror and playing a quick game of Spot the Difference, we can see a picture in a reflection that isn't in the room. So we jump into the wall and enter Snowman's Land. Snowman's Land is pretty much just another, more tricky snow level. It's a lot smaller than Cool Mountain, and being honest, I don't like it as much. We grab our first star in this frozen maze block, and then we head up to the giant snowman. After I show off my masterful platforming timing, we sneak up past the giant snowman's head and take his star. We put the beat down on the frozen big bully and then jump across the pond to pocket ourselves 2 more stars. Now I like watching the occasional speedrun, and no speedrun amazes me more than Super Mario 64 speedrunners. Honestly, the skill level of these playthroughs are on another level. And no trick is better than the backward long jump. For anyone that doesn't know, the BLJ is a trick pulled off on a slope, and it completely breaks the game. When making the game, the developers forgot to limit Mario's backward speed. So when using BLJs, Mario can break through barriers that have a star cap, this door being one of them. So I'm going to show you what a skilled gamer I am by pulling off this trick. This must be the patch version of the game. Yeah, that's it. Moving on. Next up, we tackle Wet Dry World. Now, Wet Dry World is an enigma of a level. It's not necessarily a poorly designed level. It's got lots of interesting mechanics, like these wind-up baddies that throw you into the air, tricky moving platforms, and water-level moving crystals. It's just so damn creepy, and it's hard to nail down why. Maybe it's the strange skybox, which is reportedly Shaiban, Yemen. Maybe it's the abandoned flooded town, but there is just something off. Even the music that we have already heard in Hazy Maze Cave sounds creepy here. I know this is something mentioned in recent years on YouTube, but I had this feeling back in 1997. Regardless, we're here for those sweet stars, so we grab the top of the town star and then go back to happier times. It's time to go back to earlier levels and get some easy stars. We jump back to Bob-omb's battlefield, grabbing the 8 red coins, and Mario wings to the sky stars. Realising I only obtained 1 star from Big Boo's mansion, it's time to revisit. And grab the Ride the Big Boo merry-go-round star, and then move on to my most hated star of the run. Getting up to Big Boo's balcony and beating him isn't hard, but for the love of God, why did they put this star on the slippery roof? First try. At this point we are only 6 stars short of opening the 50-star door, so back down to Die Die Dock where we grab 3 easy stars, and then it's time for a new level. I have mixed feelings about Tall Mountain. It's at this point the game starts using its last trick of artificially increasing the difficulty of the game. I call it time sinks. It's based upon the idea that levels put stars quite deep in the level, hidden behind some intricate platforming. Every time you die, get a star, or in this case fall off the mountain, getting back to where you were is a pain in the arse. It's something the game has done already in levels like Hazy Maze Cave, but this is the first time it's been mixed in with really tricky platforming, and it can be somewhat tiresome. After a few tries, we grab one of the stars from behind the waterfall, and then it's time for one of the best levels in the game. A great part of the design in this game, when similar titles would be becoming a slug. Mario 64 still gives you fun, imaginative levels. Tiny Huge Island is one of those levels. It's a callback to Giant Land in Mario Bros 3, and it's great fun. Throughout this game, Nintendo managed to weave previous titles into this game with perfection. And in my opinion, that's where games like Sonic Adventure failed. The gimmick in this level is you jump into the big painting and you start small. You jump into the small painting and you start big. You can change between these two while in the level by jumping in the pipes, and you will need to use both big and small together to get some of the stars. It's great fun. We grab the first star by getting to the top of the mountain as Little Mario. And then for the second we break a hole in the top of the mountain as Big Mario, and then transform into Small Mario to get in the hole we created. We then best wiggler for the star. It's just great game design. Now armed with 50 stars, it's time to open the last locked door. Upon entering, we see there are new levels available and another star door. The message warns you of an endless staircase and the need of 70 stars to pass. The doors open and you see a staircase in front of you. Again showing some lovely game design. Without 70 stars, the staircase is never ending, with a rising crescendo of music. Very clever, but unfortunately, not clever enough. Without 70 stars, the game will just transport you back down the stairs, giving you an endless effect. The problem is with the BLJ we discussed earlier, the illusion can be broken. Aha, my first successful BLJ. That bug must have fixed itself. However, the ranker is no cheater, and we are going to do this as intended. We get our last freebie from Toad, and then we go to get some earlier stars before exploring the last two levels. We make our way to Wet Dry World, and even though it's eerie, I actually enjoy the level design, and I wanted to spend some more time with it. We grab 3 more stars from this world, and then it's time to move on to the newly opened levels. First on the agenda is Tick-Tock Clock. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, and it does suffer from the time sink observation. However, I find something about the sadist gameplay intriguing. Upon entering, I remember there's a gimmick with the position of the hands. As I wasn't using guides for this playthrough, it was something I would have to work out, and I love little gimmicks like this. After playing the level a few times, I work out. At 12, the level stops. At 3, it runs slow. At 9, it runs fast. And at 6, things become very random. It's at this point we witness this piece of pro gaming. After that little gem, we move on and grab the roll into the cage and the pit and the pendulum stars. I get over my PTSD and go back for the get a hand star. We then get 1 more star before moving on to the final new level. We jump into the hole of Rainbow Ride, and upon dropping in, there's a realisation that this is going to be difficult from the get-go. I proved this instantly by dying within 33 seconds. Pushing forward, we get straight back in, and it's at this time I would like to point out another trick the developers used to make the game harder. I call it the carrot and the stick technique, and Mario 64 really likes this technique. The implementation of the carrot and the stick goes something like this. This is the carrot, and it is used to draw the player off their current path. And the stick is when you can't get back to the path you were on, and it's used to beat the ever-living shit out of you. When used in tandem with the sync technique, it really makes you regret your decision to grab that life you didn't really need, and in turn, regret your life choices. We push through, grabbing 4 more stars from Rainbow Ride, deciding I'm having too much fun, it's time to revisit Shifting Sandland. On the trip to the basement, we come across an old friend, and he reminds me why I hate him so much. We finally catch him, and I never intend to chase this little bastard again. Moving on. We grab the star held by the big bird, and then defeat the level boss in the heart of the pyramid. To experience the whole level, we go inside the pyramid and climb the interior, collecting our 66th star. I realise we only have 1 star in Tall Mountain, and we head back over there to grab the Scale the Mountain star, and then quickly get the red coin star in Tick-Tock Clock, leaving us with 2 more stars to acquire. Because it was so good, we make our way back down to Tiny Huge Island. This brings up a great aspect of Super Mario 64. As you only need 70 stars to complete the game without glitches, and with 120 available. If you're not going the completionist route, you don't have to grind at the stars you don't enjoy. So we finished the last 2 stars on an enjoyable high note. After getting the Pluck the Piranha plant and the Wiggler's Red Coin stars, we have reached the required 70 stars needed, and we are now in the end game. We scale the castle for the final time, passing the 70 star check, and enter Bowser's final level. The trickiest Bowser level so far, but it's still not hard. We make our way through the level, then approach the entrance to the final Bowser fight. Upon starting the battle, we go through the introduction we have seen twice at this point. This time though, Bowser is looking much more menacing. The lighting effect on Bowser is a great touch, and it makes you feel like this is his final form. This battle is very much the same fare as the previous fights, with one important caveat. Bowser must be blown up 3 times, with the fun little surprise that the floor breaks up into a star shape after the second hit, making the 3rd bomb much harder. Being terrible at the throwing mechanic, this is a tricky fight, taking me 5 attempts to finally finish Bowser off. We grab the final giant star, and it's over. Princess Peach is saved. We watch the happy ending cutscene, and then roll credits. How do we sum up a game like Super Mario 64? Honestly, I had a great time replaying this classic. There are some dated mechanics, as you would expect, but overall, it's a fantastic game. It was definitely not overrated back in the day. It was 100% a game changer, no pun intended, and it was a true trailblazer in the genre. In the modern day, it's still a very enjoyable experience, especially when played with upscaled visuals of emulation. Someone picking it up today for the first time is never going to get the same experience as someone like myself that played it back in 1997. However, I still think there is a lot of fun to be had here. I don't have any drive to grind 120 stars, as I did back in the day. But that's okay. Not every game needs to be 100%ed. And even though I have no desire to pick up Super Mario 64 again in the foreseeable future, I fully believe I'll be able to pick it up again in another 10 years and have a great time. Because the solid mechanics and stellar artistic vision of this game will always be a fun experience. With all that being said, let's rank it. For a game from 1997, the graphics are superb. In the context of release date, there really was nothing like this. Truly masterful gameplay, the mechanics have been improved upon in later titles, but apart from some minor niggles, Super Mario 64 set the bar. Taking the limited storage space of cartridge media into consideration, the music and sound effects are top notch. Far from a tightly weaved epic, but it's a Mario game, and the simplistic story is perfectly entwined into the gameplay. Still a really enjoyable time. Even after 25 years, every aspect of the game holds up very well. I reward Super Mario 64 an overall score of 87, placing it firmly at the top of game changing. Being the first game in this series, Super Mario 64 is officially the best and the worst reviewed game. But I can imagine that will change. For anyone that has never played this game before, you simply have to give it a go. As long as you don't go into it expecting Elden Ring, you're going to have a great time. I would personally advise either playing on original hardware with a CRT or emulation if using a modern display. There is a HD PC version Nintendo shut down, and if you can find a copy, it's an excellent port. Thank you to anyone that made it this far in the video. These videos really are just a passion project, and the relative success my first video received was very encouraging. If you enjoyed this, please consider hitting the like button. and subscribe for future videos. And I will see you next time.
Thank you so much for playing my game.